I'll kick us off here. Hi, everybody. My name is Eric SB. I'm the Recruitment and Student Services Manager here at Carnegie Mellon University Online. Really happy that you all were able to make it today. I'm joined by Karla, Matt, and Reesa, who we'll be introducing later in this presentation. But again, we really appreciate you joining the Student Spotlight webinar. And the program that we're going to be focusing in on is the Machine Learning and Data Science Foundations. So without further ado, let's jump in. Before we go into further detail about the machine learning and data science certificate, I did want to take a moment to go over CMU Online. Some of you have already been working with Joe, who is also here today, our program specialist. Joe's awesome. But for those of you that might not be familiar with CMU Online, we are an assortment or a suite of graduate certificate programs all online that cover various subjects, as you can see here. So we have subjects such as Foundations of Data Science. We have this program, Machine Learning and Data Science, Generative AI, Managing AI Systems, 3D bioprinting and biofabrication, digital twins, the list goes on. We're really excited about this. As you can imagine, I'll go into this in a little bit more detail in a bit, but these are all crafted for full-time working professionals looking to gain that one up with the rigor and the quality of CMU coursework. So if you're not familiar, now you're familiar. And just before we dive into the program details, really, I'm not sure how much you all may have talked to Joe in previous conversations, but these certificates are very unique, and we wanted to take some time to go over those factors. So some of the big ones that we see that really give us an edge and make us unique are one, that even though this is a graduate certificate program that's online, you're still getting graduate level credit bearing coursework. So that's a huge driver for many of our prospective students that you're not just going to complete this and get a badge on LinkedIn or just get a piece of paper that says you did a certificate. You're also going to get a full-fledged, legitimate transcript with grades, just as you would get here with an on-campus course. So it's a huge driver, especially for students that might even want to take these credits and transfer those into a master's or another graduate level degree. So that's a huge driver that we do have here. Below that, full-time CMU faculty. This has been a huge plus for many of our students that even though this is an online program, you're still being taught by full-time CMU faculty. Um, just a huge perk when you look at our brand and the ability for you to make those interactions and be taught by some of the best minds in the world when it comes to the subject matter. And if we look to the top right, it's kind of paired with this factor, which is weekly live online sessions. So even though this is fully online, it's not going to be just fully self-paced where you're a lone wolf throughout the entire process. We do have weekly live sessions where you're able to attend, interact with your instructors, TAs, also your fellow classmates. So there is a networking piece of this where you're able to build up some networking opportunities while you're in the program. And then I mentioned this already, but just to cap this off, this is designed for working professionals. So most of the students in this program, they are working professionals. I'm sure most of you are as well. You're able to, balance this with work and other family or social commitments, and get this done in and around a year, which has been a huge benefit for a lot of our students. All right. Let's move on to the program details. So, the machine learning and data science program, who is it for? A lot of the students that are looking to take this are industry professionals who want in-demand skills in data science, AI, machine learning. Really, by the end of this program, you're going to be able to build machine learning models and analyze trends. So, obviously, a huge driver for many students. And then we also get a lot of students that are recent graduates of computer science programs that are just looking to become more competitive in the job market. So this is a good way to one up within that year span while you're searching for better and higher job opportunities. Um, on the right-hand side, just want to go over a few of the things that you will be learning in this program. So you're going to learn to build, evaluate, and apply machine learning models. You're going to be troubleshooting different types of programming, Python, leveraging Jupyter notebooks to pair with interactive lessons, which has been a huge help for a lot of our students to be able to apply what they're learning. And then use math concepts like prob, linear algebra, optimization to actually tackle these machine learning and data science challenges. So those are some of the things that students are conquering while they're going through this particular program. So let's look at the courses themselves. So when we look at this particular program, there are five graduate level credit bearing courses that are taught. You see three boxes here, but the first two boxes, if we look at spring and summer, those are actually two courses that are split into what we call minis. So there's one mini that you're going to be taking for Python and Data Science 1. And then whenever you finish Python and Data Science 1, you move to Python and Data Science 2 in the latter half of the semester. Same thing here when we look at summer. You start with the math and computational foundations of math, foundations of ML, and then the computational foundations of ML is the second half of that semester. And then everything rounds out, and your final semester is going to be the foundations of computational data science. So that is how the actual coursework goes. And again, this is what it's going to look like for most of you that might be looking for the spring 2026 start, where you'll start with spring, you'll have a semester in the summer, and then you'll finish at the end of the fall semester. So basically, all said and done, if you join us in the spring, you're going to get this certificate completed by the end of 2026. All right, without further ado, I'm not going to keep talking your ear off. Let's get to the good stuff. So I would love to introduce our student spotlights. We have first Reesa. Reesa, thanks for joining us today. Do you want to just give us a bit about your background and what really brought you to the certificate?
Yeah, for sure. I'm Risa. I work at Dell as a software engineer too. And I came to the program a few months after I graduated college because I was really interested in data science and machine learning. So I just wanted to learn more skills about it and see how I can actually apply it to work.
Excellent. Thanks, Reesa. Next, we have Karla. Karla, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. So I actually come from a background of design that I have evolved into a lot of technical experience as a product manager in cybersecurity. And I was really interested in how to combine that design system thinking with the new technologies that are coming out. And so this is what really stood out for me. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Karla. Last but not least, we have Matt. Matt, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a software developer for a government contractor, and I wanted to learn more about data science and machine learning, coming from my undergrad in business and just doing a coding boot camp. So just wanted to learn some data science without getting maybe too involved, but still have the option of pursuing a master's later on.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Thanks for that. Thank you, all three. We're excited to have you. And we're going to jump into the meat and potatoes of this webinar, which is going to be just answering some questions and getting some of your perspectives on how your experience was with the program. So first, let's start with Risa. How did you juggle work, classes, other commitments? This is a question we commonly get because, yes, it's an online program. It does offer flexibility, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's easy by any means. So, curious to hear what your experience was with juggling all those things.
Yeah, I think this is a really good question. And like you said, definitely not easy, but I think worth it in the end. I think the biggest thing for me that helped was like starting early, like reviewing the readings and the assignments ahead of time. And like you already know what commitments you have. And so you can kind of figure out like when is the best time to work on it. And there's also office hours. So you can also like clarify your questions early and ahead of time. So that way, like if you can't attend maybe later office hours, when you get busy, you're still able to kind of manage everything. But I think, yeah, the biggest thing is just start early so you can break it into manageable chunks.
Right. Don't wait till the last minute, which I think that's the goal of everybody, but I appreciate your perspective because I'm sure you have to start building some sort of like habit when you're going through the coursework to make sure you're on top of things. So appreciate that perspective. Carla, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with what was said. Every moment counts. So one of the things that I did is I invested in a planner. So actually a paper planner just to really account for how I was planning out all the time that I needed to allocate so I could be making it on time because it's a lot of stuff comes up released in terms of projects within a week. So you want to make sure you can plan ahead.
Gotcha. Thanks, Carla. What about you, Matt?
Now, I would save everything till the weekend, I can't really. A lot of the coursework seemed a bit more difficult for me, so I couldn't just jump into something for like an hour, 2 hours at a time. I want to just knock it out all at once while I was still in the same headspace. So I would get all my other commitments done during the week, so I didn't have to focus on anything else except for coursework on the weekend, and everything. The information was like readily available, so I didn't feel like I um, had like missed out by not getting stuff done earlier.
I like that strategy, and that it's quite common with many of our students where I call them like chippers and then chunkers, where like a chipper would be someone that's like, all right, I'm going to do 2 hours every night to stay on top of things, and I'm going to be disciplined and get that done. And then some people do really like you said, Matt, like to reserve that weekend time just to be put yourself in the right environment and headspace to be able to get the coursework done. So yeah, those are great perspectives, everybody. I really appreciate that. Let's go to the next question. Karla, let's start with you. So, what surprised you most about the program?
Yes, Eric, that's a great question because I really was surprised how nimble I had to be with the notebook platforms. So it really helps to come prepared to the program with experience managing Python packages and dependencies, understanding like specific Python environments for projects on the cloud and your machine. And because there was assignments that you had to do on different environments, you can also be on the collab, you could be on Azure, you can be on Jupyter, and you can be working on your own machine. So you really have to know how to manage those different requirements and versions of environments on your device and on the cloud ahead of time. So that was the biggest surprise for me because that having that knowledge and nimbleness ahead of time really allows you to just be able to focus on the materials and the project instead of the tech.
Yeah, I mean, it being an online program, it's, it could be a very big trouble spot if you can't get the tech to work with you and then you're just wasting time. So that's really great advice. I appreciate that, Karla. What about you, Matt?
I guess just how project based the whole program was, especially the last class, the foundations of computational data science. It's just every week was like a new project, and I think that's why it takes so long. Is the projects are so fleshed out and they're so in depth that just takes a long time to wrap your head around. And I mean, it makes sense. Like these are just very, at least for me, just very complicated uh, subject matter. And so it's nice doing the project. So I feel like I could implement it where I work.
Were you to add on to that, were you surprised with yourself to be able to get through this coursework? Impressed with your ability to get through it?
Yeah, for sure. Coming in where I'm 31, I haven't been in school in a decade, and the last math class I took was calculus, and then having to jump into learning linear algebra and more in-depth statistics and even relearning the calculus. I feel like it ramps you up in a good way. All these courses build on each other, and um, yeah, you're never like being tested on something or being asked to do something that they haven't taught you before.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for that add-on. That's big. All right, Risa, what about you?
I think for me, maybe the most surprising thing was like how interactive it was with the different aspects, like not just like the weekly classes, but the office hours and like being able to ask your questions on like various platforms. And if you think like, oh, it's online, like it won't be like a traditional class, it definitely is. So that was kind of cool being able to interact with not just like the faculty, but also like the other students in your class, which is cool.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, like I mentioned it earlier, but the networking piece has been a, great surprise for many of our students where when you look at a lot of certificates, you're truly a lone wolf. There's just nothing that you can do to make those connections. So that's great. Thanks for sharing that. All right, let's keep moving forward. How did you engage with the faculty and course materials? Risa, what about you?
I feel like I said this multiple times, but yeah, for me, the biggest thing honestly was office hours because I always have a billion questions all the time. And then just yeah, outside of that, posting questions on Piazza, uh, you
Right.
can get quick responses.
Yeah, that's we mentioned this a little bit, but for those of you attending, Piazza is kind of like one of you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's almost like a discussion board where if you have a trouble spot you're encountering in your coursework, you can post it and you can have your classmates and instructors help you find an answer, which is really cool that that's a feature. Yeah, Carla, what about you?
Yeah, I was in the beginning very async the way I would engage with things, reading every line that was on the canvas for the material and then just being prepared for the lecture. We have that once a week, being able to kind of follow along with what's being presented on screen with what I've already read. So I had to be really encouraged to go to office hours because I felt like if I wasn't coming to office hours with of something already in progress, very complex question, that I wasn't going to make the best use of office hours. But as I went through the course, I learned that office hours are very helpful for bouncing ideas or even a simple thought that you might have, or clarifying. This was really important for me, clarifying how I understand the project, even if it's just like asking, "Is this what you're looking for?" With this question. Sometimes you see that you might be needed a little bit more guidance to get on the right path.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. I couldn't tell you the amount of times when I was in school, I was just asking myself like the wrong questions when I was doing assignments, and then it would result in me just completely missing the target. So that's great that you shared that, the office hours give you that opportunity to be like, okay, like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And they can give you that thumbs up before you dive in. So yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. All right, let's go to the next slide. Ooh, this is a good one. We get this a lot as far as like when you're going through the program or finished with the program, how have you put your new skills that you've learned to work if you have it all? So, Carla, do you want to kick us off with this one?
Yes, actually had a key moment when I was able to do this very quite recently with some very high level person asking a very honest question about how they understood AI. They thought, it was maybe a very low level thing. And then to be able to bring in a lot of this new things that I've learned, ability to explain the different ways that you can use a model and for the different kind of business applications. So being able to bring in the technical concepts into business terminology, being able to be a strong collaborator with engineering and to come in and help prototype and validate ideas faster before it goes into a production environment.
That's impressive. Thanks for sharing that. Matt, what about you?
When I started out, I was just a front-end developer at my work, and then after I took the Python course as part of the program, then I was able to convince my boss to let me be a full stack developer. So now I'm doing front and back end, and then since completing the course, they've let me start sitting in on their like special projects team, and then uh, they said that they'll move me over to start working on that special projects, which is like data science and AI implementation, whenever a position becomes available. So it's helped with career progression, I guess.
Yeah, pretty instant too. That's impressive. Being part of the special projects unit. That's a huge jump. So congratulations on that. That's great.
Yeah.
Um, Risa, what about you?
Yeah, I think I come at this from like a little bit of a different background. So I actually had like the Python, the data science, the ML background from school. And I actually do data science and engineering at work as well. So I feel like it's helped like give me a new perspective on that, like give me more ideas or like potential techniques I could use. And like I also do a lot of data visualization. So one of the big projects was like heavy on that. And so I think that's also like taking some of the things I learned from there and how to develop better visualizations that way.
Yeah, that's like a huge plus, right? Where you not only understand what you're doing, but you can basically hit that C translation button and be able to describe it in layman's terms to other departments. And that's a huge step to be able to take. So that's great. All great results. It's super impressive. A great question. We can start with you again, Risa, but what advice would you give to others who are considering the program at this time?
Yeah, I would say like if you're even remotely interested in data science or ML, especially because it's becoming a big thing, like I would recommend it. And like my advice would be if you're gonna consider it, like definitely have good time management. Be able to like I know that there's like a lot of things going on for everyone. So like just be like I think diligent and figuring out like what time works best for you to commit to some time to like work on different aspects of the program.
That's great advice. Thank you. Karla, what about you?
Yes, definitely think it's a great investment to think about the math that is going to be used in this. So being able to just take some time, research on YouTube. There's like even animated series that are engaging and entertaining that deal with the math. And that kind of helps you formulate some idea of what to expect and sets you up to succeed.
Excellent. Matt, what about you?
I'm sorry, I don't think I have anything unique to add. I like both their points.
Hey, Concur is a great option. I thought they were great too, so appreciate it. Um, all right. Excellent. So we're at the end of our session here. Um, Before we get into Q&A, and we really would like to hear all of you, all of your questions now that we have everybody here. But before we jump in there, like I mentioned, many of you have already been working with Joe, but you might not have connected with Joe just yet. Again, Joe's awesome. He's our program specialist. So after this session, if you want to take this a step further, learn a little bit more about the program and how it's going to fit your particular needs, or if you're ready to get an application together and you want to make that as competitive as possible, make sure to connect with Joe, and he can help you through all of those steps. But without further ado, we're going to stop the slideshow and our faces are going to get a little bit bigger. And we would love to hear all of your questions. So if you're not used to Zoom, there will be a chat feature towards the bottom of your screen. You can feel free to chat us any questions that you have. We would love to answer them to the best of our abilities. Oh, we had a good question about is this certificate going to be helpful if you want to later on pursue a master's degree or a PhD route in AI? Um, I know that I can start that answer off where yes, just for the fact going back to my original point at the start of this presentation, these are legitimate credit-bearing courses. So you will be when you complete these courses, you're going to get a legitimate transcript. If you're looking at degree pathways, our recommendation, Joe might have told some of you this already, but we always recommend whatever program you're interested in pursuing, just reach out to that department or that point of contact and see how these could mesh into their curriculum just to ensure transferability. There's hundreds and hundreds of schools out there, hundreds and hundreds of programs. So that's always a great step to first take. And then if they say, yeah, this looks good, that's a great pathway for you to take. And if you're ever curious about just our particular courses in more detail, we can supply you with some sample syllabi that could really help you understand what the takeaways are going to be for each of these courses. But uh, all of you, I'm Risa, Karla, Matt, I'm not sure if you want to add anything there. Did you feel like the coursework would help prepare you for a step like that?
I do want to say the rigor, especially of the last course, definitely would prepare you for how intense those courseworks would be.
Gotcha. Um, and then can one of you give an example of a little bit more of a detailed example of like what are the projects that you were all discussing? Like what is an example of that and what you did?
Yeah, I can take this one. And if Matt and Carla want to add on. But I guess one that stood out to me was there was one where we had to kind of build like our own neural net, and like train it ourselves. And I feel like that's a good experience because then you kind of understand like what well, you understand the math behind it, of course, but then you understand like programmatically, like exactly kind of what you need to do to develop it and like the different, I guess, fine-tuning mechanisms, like to get your accuracy to be better. So that's like one of the ones that stood out to me. Um,
Nice. Karla, anything to add there?
Yeah, to describe that one, that's a really good example. I was thinking of also, it's a category, one of them was a categorization of images. So you're actually training it to recognize a image and be able to say it's this or that. And I thought that was my favorite one, just to be able to get to that level.
Excellent. Y'all got the thank you, so that's good work there. Um, I did have a question. So we also gathered a few questions before this session from some of the participants. We did have a question, let's see here, regarding the actual learning environment. So some of you mentioned we use Canvas as the learning platform where you're logging in, you're doing all your assignments, you're able to access your sessions from there. Um, do you also do all the coding assignments within Canvas, or does it like have you open up different pieces of software that someone's just curious on how that actually works?
Yeah, that alludes to what I was mentioning earlier. You do have that option sometimes to do the programming on Canvas. There's an embedded Jupyter notebook for some of the things, but then you also will work independently on your own machine, or you might be working on Colab or Azure. So it does spread out on different ways for the hands-on work. You do have a lot of great reading materials on Canvas, and there's some interactive components to that as well on Canvas.
Excellent. That's great. I think you covered that, right? I don't think we have anything to add there. And we just gotta oh, this is a really great question. So, like, what was appealing to you all about this versus like the traditional, I'm gonna go for just a master's degree track? What really like made this a unique deciding factor for you versus that traditional track?
I guess I can start. For me, it was like the commitment, I guess, because if you're doing a master's program, my guess is, I mean, every program's different, but like 2 years of like, I guess, full-time commitment. And I think it would be a lot harder to work and deal with all your other commitments with that. So I think with this program, it was a lot like it was designed for working professionals, which I think was good. And I think Eric talked about this earlier, but a thing that I think sets it apart from other programs is it's actually like led by like faculty, like CMU faculty, and it's like actual graduate level courses. So you do get that same like rigor and I think like level of knowledge that you would if you did an actual full-time program.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it's like it's almost like a micro masters in a lot of ways. But the key feature, like you said, the flexibility piece. So, most masters or any sort of graduate level degrees are typically full time, typically on campus for the most part. So it's just a bigger commitment for sure. But yeah, Carly, do you want to add anything else to that?
No, that hits exactly the same reasons for me. I do want to say that it's a really nice combination of materials that this one certificate has. That if you were looking at the certificate route, I don't think you get as much exposure as all the different topics in one certificate approach.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah, so we did have a question about are these going to be the same professors as what we would get on campus? And yes, so it is going to be the same faculty staff that are teaching many of the on-campus programs. So again, that's a huge plus for a lot of our students that you're not only getting taught by these folks, but you're also getting that live interaction piece. It's just it's a beautiful combination at the end of the day. So yes, I can confirm that. All right. Any other questions? Great answers too. Great questions, great answers. But again, Risa, Matt, Karla, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's Thursday, it's noon Eastern time here. Risa, you're West Coast, so it's a little bit early, but and thank you all for attending today. A lot of you are working too, so we really appreciate you taking the time. But overall, hope you all have a great rest of your week, and thanks again.